Jeanette Doyle, 15 Days at the Anti-Warhol Museum is a project in 3 parts. It involves dematerialised artwork, an immaterial set of works, and also immaterial labour. And also in there as well, there's the fact that I'm doing a residency with a factory called, or a corporation called Ansaldo in the Pittsburgh area. So the piece functions as a prequel to an exhibition which opens on June 23rd, 2012, called Factory Direct, where the director of the Warhol, Eric Scheiner, has invited 15 artists to work with factories in the Pittsburgh area to produce work to be shown in the museum and off-site. So the factory that I'm working with, or a corporation rather, are called Ansaldo. They used to be called Union Switch and Signal, and they create signalling systems for mass transit. So I was very interested in kind of basic codes and how necessary they are for us to navigate the world, and also that we use them to navigate the world using just visual clues as opposed to language. And also another thing that really interested me about Ansaldo is the fact that their codifications are very regionally specific, in that a set of signals which are legible to a train driver in North America wouldn't necessarily be legible in Europe. And so I'm interested in how sometimes codes fail or they get broken down, and what happens to our own safety and the safety of others if we lose control over or if we lose the capacity to read the world in the kind of in the way that's prescribed to us. So the dematerialised act which I'm performing is I'm changing the light bulbs in the main entrance gallery of the museum daily, well, from Wednesday to Sunday, and these lights illuminate a major Warhol self-portrait. So there's no substantive difference before and after I change the light bulbs, except that now the painting is literally lit differently, even though this isn't visible to the naked eye. There's a moment where the light goes off as I'm changing the bulb, and then it comes back on again. So I was interested in notions around illumination and countenance, celebrity, facade, and also the lights obviously tie in with the project that I'm doing with Ansaldo. So I started off by looking at dematerialised practices from the 60s and 70s, and this work is quite informed by the scope of that work. But also I was interested in somehow creating a bridge between dematerialised practices of the late 60s, early 70s, and also immaterial practices which we associate with digital media, and what is the etymology and the relationship between the two terms. The immaterial element of the project, well, there's 2 types of immateriality. One is immaterial labour, and the other is new media as immaterial. So I'm also creating, I've created 1 preview and 15, one for each day, digital text-based animations which are posted on the Warhol blog each day for 15 working days, and they build up a narrative. So each piece is 2 minutes long, broken up into 15-second segments, each displaying the same text but against a different colour. So I was interested in using the text appears just 1 letter on screen at a time, and I was interested in text as pictorial matter, and also the text is such a basic type of signification, and I made the pieces slightly difficult to read to kind of trouble how easily we think that we read things, and sometimes language can become a bit jumbled or we can misread things, and that interested me greatly. So the text kind of built up a narrative reflecting somewhat on my concerns in relation to the overall remit of the project. The first piece of text, the preview piece, is spells "lights need nothing from you but obedience," and I was very interested in, I suppose I was looking at Schiller, at Rancière on Schiller, on Juno Ludovisi, the statue of a deity which needs nothing, wants nothing, and therefore somehow creates a space of alterity. And I've been kind of interested recently in relationships between politically engaged practice and what practice which could be called autonomous, and how autonomous practices can have some sort of political agency in that they allow you to imagine the world otherwise. So because they're not necessarily imbricated in the system against which you're railing. Although this is just something I'm teasing out with the project. So in the museum, I'm performing immaterial labour, as it's not kind of conventionally remunerated. It's in some ways it's pointless. And then in the afternoons, I'm reversing roles because I'm going to the corporation where I'm watching and recording their work processes. So in the museum, I'm working, and in the factory, I'm watching. So the animations are posted daily on the Warhol website, and they're also distributed via email. I'm also posting them on Facebook, and the Warhol are allowing them to be shared on social network sites. So I'm very kind of interested in that type of distribution of work, and also the fact that in some ways it's an exhibition for one, in that each person views the work on their own console by themselves generally. And also I'm emailing links to the work, just to basically the contents of my address book, but also the pieces themselves as zip files, because I wanted to gift the pieces. And this model is kind of quite premised on mail art projects of the 70s and 60s. And I thought using email as a distribution model seemed very much a natural kind of progression of that type of practice. So this work will then be materialised next year in the exhibition Factory Direct. I'm not sure. So Factory Direct is an exhibition where Eric Scheiner has invited 15 artists, I think I said, to work with factories in the Pittsburgh area to make new work to show in the museum and off-site. So this project functions as a prequel for that, and so what I'm doing in Pittsburgh is very much kind of research and development for the work next year. I don't know what the outcome of it will be. It might be something as simple as a painting. It might be a documentary. I have no idea. And that's the whole point of the project, is that it's very much about process and relationships. Well, that's important for me. The people who actually work in Ansaldo, conversations I've had with them, recordings I've made of those conversations. So this is all material which I'll review and develop for Factory Direct in June 2012.